could you do this to us after everything we've been through?
Madison, please, just listen. It wasn't supposed to happen this way.
The message came just as Ethan was about to turn off the lamp beside his bed. His apartment in Denver was quiet, washed in the soft orange glow of the streetlights outside. He had spent the whole evening trying not to think about her, which never worked. And then his phone buzzed. It was Madison. She had never texted him this late before, not in all the months they'd known each other. Not after the long nights studying together in her kitchen. Not after the evenings she helped him sort his chaotic paperwork for his real estate job. Not even after those accidental moments when their hands brushed and both of them froze a little too long. But tonight, at exactly 12:07 a.m., she wrote, "Can you come over?" For a moment, Ethan just stared at the screen. Madison wasn't the type to send vague messages. She was careful, older, steadier. She was 38, a single mom whose daughter was away on a school trip. Ethan was 25, still figuring out what to do with all the feelings he tried so hard to hide from her. Their connection had always been real but cautious, sitting in that strange space between friendship and something they both pretended they didn't feel. His heart thudded as he typed back, "Are you okay?" Instead of answering, she sent her address again, as if he could ever forget it. Ethan grabbed his keys and jacket, barely thinking, only feeling the tight pull in his chest. The wind was sharp as he drove through the quiet Denver streets, but inside the car, everything felt too warm. He kept replaying every moment they'd shared, every lingering look, every soft laugh, every time she had touched his arm, and then quickly pulled back. He shouldn't be going. He knew that, but he also knew he would go every time she asked. When he reached her small white house, only the porch light was on. Madison opened the door before he could knock, her face pale, her eyes tired but somehow relieved when she saw him. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. Her voice was softer than usual, almost fragile. She stepped back to let him in, and the warmth of the house wrapped around him. Ethan noticed that she wasn't dressed like someone expecting company, just an oversized sweater and loose pajama pants, her hair pulled into a messy knot. She looked nothing like the organized, confident woman he saw in the daytime. Tonight, she looked like someone hurting. He lowered his voice. "What happened?" She hesitated. He could see her trying to form the words, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sleeve. For a moment, she seemed lost. "I didn't want to be alone," she said finally. "Not tonight." Ethan's chest tightened. He stepped closer, careful not to cross any lines. "Madison, you can tell me." She turned away, walked slowly to the living room, and sat on the couch. Something in her movements felt heavy, like she was carrying more than she could hold. On the coffee table was a folded letter. She didn't look at him when she said, "It's from my ex-husband." Ethan's stomach dropped. She rarely talked about him. When she did, it was in short, controlled sentences, the kind that kept the pain hidden. "He wants to come back," she whispered. "After everything. After years. And I don't know what to do." Ethan felt his heartbeat stutter. So that's why she called him here. For comfort. For clarity. Not for him. But then she looked up, really looked at him, and the next words left him breathless. "I didn't call anyone else," she said quietly. "I only wanted you." The room seemed to freeze. Ethan didn't expect that. Not from her. Not tonight. And definitely not with the way she was staring at him now. Like he was the one person she trusted more than anyone else. Ethan stood frozen, the weight of Madison's words sinking deeper into him than he expected. She only wanted him. Not her sister, not her coworkers, not even her closest friends. Him. He moved gently, sitting across from her so he wouldn't overwhelm her. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the heater. Madison held the folded letter in both hands, staring at it as if it were something poisonous. "He says he's changed," she whispered. "That he regrets the divorce. That he wants to fix everything." Ethan watched her shoulders tremble. He knew her ex-husband had walked out on her when their daughter was only 10, leaving Madison to rebuild her life alone. She had never complained, never asked for pity. She just kept going, working 2 jobs at one point, smiling through the exhaustion. Ethan admired her resilience long before he ever admitted to himself that he admired everything else about her too. "Do you want him back?" Ethan asked carefully. Her eyes lifted to his, and something vulnerable flickered in them. "I don't know," she said. "I just know that when I opened that letter, I felt scared. Like the life I've built since then might fall apart." He leaned forward. "Why would it fall apart?" She hesitated, her voice softening. "Because you're part of it now." The words hit him hard, almost painfully. He swallowed, unsure if his reaction showed on his face. Madison didn't seem to notice. She looked down again, fingers trembling on the envelope. "I know there's an age difference," she said. "I know it's complicated. But you've been there for me in ways he never was." Ethan shook his head gently. "Madison, you don't need to compare." "I'm not comparing," she cut in quietly. "I'm just telling the truth." Silence settled between them, warm and heavy. She took a long breath and rested the letter on the table, as if releasing it made her feel lighter. Ethan could sense she wanted to say more, but didn't know how. He moved beside her, leaving enough space so she didn't feel crowded but close enough that she could feel he was there. "Why tonight?" he finally asked. Madison brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "I was fine all evening," she said. "I thought I was strong enough to deal with it alone. But then the house felt too quiet, too big, and I kept thinking about you. How come you make everything feel? So I sent the message before I could second-guess myself." Ethan exhaled slowly. "You can always call me. Anytime." She smiled faintly, the first one of the night. But there was a sadness behind it. "You say that like it's easy," she whispered. "Like I haven't been trying to ignore how I feel about you." His breath caught. Madison quickly looked away. "I shouldn't have said that," she murmured. "It's late. I'm tired. Just ignore it." "I can't ignore it," Ethan said softly. She froze, her lips parting slightly. He didn't touch her. He didn't dare. But the emotion in his voice made her look at him again. Really look. And something in her expression melted. "Madison," he continued, "I need you to know something too. When you texted me tonight, I didn't think. I just came. Because there isn't anything in this world you could ask for that I'd say no to." Her breath shook. The room felt warmer now, the air thicker with words unspoken. Then suddenly there was a knock at the door. Both of them turned sharply. It was soft at first, then firmer. Madison's face went pale. "I wasn't expecting anyone," she whispered. Ethan stood, heart pounding. He moved toward the door slowly, unsure who could be visiting her at nearly 1 a.m. Before he reached it, Madison grabbed his arm. Her voice was barely a breath. "Ethan, don't open it. I think I know who it is." Still, the message was clear. She wasn't alone. Daniel's jaw clenched. "So this is why you won't talk to me?" Madison took a shaky breath. "I didn't ask you to come here, Daniel. You sent a letter out of nowhere. You left years ago. You don't get to walk back in as if nothing happened." Daniel's voice cracked. "I made mistakes. I know that. I thought time apart would fix things, but it only showed me how much I lost." Madison's eyes glossed, but her voice stayed steady. "You left when things were hardest. You walked away from me, from our daughter. And now you're here because you're lonely, not because you've changed." Daniel looked crushed, but Ethan could see something else too. Guilt mixed with regret, yes, but also expectation. Like he still believed she owed him a chance. Madison wiped her eyes. "I'm not the same woman you walked away from," she continued. "I built a life without you, a better one, and I won't go backward." Daniel swallowed, his gaze shifting again toward Ethan. Is he part of that better life? Madison hesitated. It wasn't shame, just fear of saying the truth out loud for the first time. But then she turned, looked at Ethan, and something soft and trembling passed between them. She faced Daniel again. "Yes," she said quietly. "He is." Ethan's heart stopped. Daniel stared for several long seconds, wounded, angry, confused. But finally, acceptance flickered in his eyes. He stepped back from the porch. "I hope he treats you better than I did," he murmured, voice unsteady. Then he walked toward his car without another word. When his taillights disappeared down the street, Madison closed the door and leaned against it, exhausted. Ethan walked to her, unsure if he should touch her, but then she stepped into him, resting her forehead against his chest. "I'm sorry you had to be here for that," she whispered. Ethan wrapped his arms around her slowly, carefully, as if giving her the choice to pull away. She didn't. "You weren't alone tonight," he said softly. That's what matters. Madison lifted her face, eyes shining in the dim light. I meant what I said, Ethan, she murmured. You are part of my life, the part that feels safe. He brushed a hand through her hair, his voice barely above a breath. And you're the part one never knew I needed. She leaned in, closing the distance with a tenderness that felt fragile and powerful all at once. The kiss was slow, careful, two people finding each other after too long pretending they hadn't already fallen. When they finally pulled away, Madison smiled, small but real. Thank you for coming over, she whispered. Ethan kissed her forehead gently. You never have to ask twice.